Okay, so it's 7 o'clock, so we'll make a start. I brought my own sound system this time because of the hassles we've had with the council one previously. So the agenda for tonight is basically 4 items: the Shaftesbury Hospital reorganisation plans, the various locations for the Shaftesbury Primary School, an update on the neighbourhood plan, an update on the performance of the Town Council. So after each session, we'll have a Q&A. So I'd appreciate if you don't ask questions during each bit, but at the end of each session. And that way we should get through it. The meeting will last a maximum of 2 hours, so we will finish at 9 o'clock. I'll try and keep it to a maximum of half an hour per session. Okay, so we'll start off with the first item, which is the Shaftesbury Hospital reorganisation plans. So here, the Town Council is actually working in conjunction with all the local parishes. We've had a meeting, and that was hosted by Gillingham. They were the first, all these parishes got together, and we all agreed to formulate a united written response to the clinical commissioning group. And we all agreed that we wanted to oppose the plans to downgrade the Shaftesbury Westminster Hospital to a hub without beds. So that was fairly early on that we did that. And since then, we've been trying to formulate our own strategy in Shaftesbury, and the key thing for that was to get information to everyone so that they'd be able to address the consultation. So I'll take you through some of the key points that came out in the presentations that we've already had. This for me was the key slide that was presented, and that shows Shaftesbury as a community hub without beds, which obviously most of the town folk are against. So that means the nearest hospitals we were able to get to with beds were Blandford and Sherborne. This actually came as a shock because the clinical commissioning group had been working on these plans for 2 years, but it was only quite recently it got revealed that the Shaftesbury one would be downgraded to community hub without beds. But they have a plan to get around that, which I'll go through a little bit on. The other slide that sort of slightly shocked me was what would a community hub look like in the future? And this thing about the current estate fails to meet access. Well, we know the access is bad there, but the build quality isn't disastrous. I mean, the hospital isn't really falling down, and that was highlighted by Simon Hall when he gave his talk recently. And then this point came out, which was that the Shaftesbury beds are often occupied with patients out of the area or with social care needs that are not being met. And I think a lady in the last presentation in the audience pointed out, well, if they know that's the issue, why don't they try and sort this out rather than having the beds being blocked? Because that's obviously an important thing to do. And it's probably an issue that's all over the country. So we've got Dick here, who organised the petition, and it was quite a outstanding success, the petition. So we had 3,000 local people signing the petition, which is an amazing achievement. We consider Shaftesbury's only 8,000 people in total. And this was presented to Mr. Godson, who's the CEO of Dorset CCG, and it was signed by Simon Hall, myself, and Barry Von Clements, the Mayor of Gillingham. Then we went on to the other key things, I feel were key, was really trying to get the clinical commissioning group trying to explain all their plans to us. And Dr. Simone Ewell and Francis Avis give presentations to us. And really the presentations I thought were very good. And there's a lot of excellent ideas that they had in the presentations. The only part that I think most people disagreed with was the downgrading of the beds, but a lot of the other ideas were really quite good about bringing care closer to care to home and etc. This first presentation was in the town hall. If you remember, it's the one that we had the queues in the street. Fortunately tonight we've all managed to fit in here without any problems. And then the second presentation was done. We got 2 MPs to that one, which were Simon Hoare and Andrew Merson. And both of them gave excellent impromptu speeches against downgrading the bed. And I was particularly impressed with Andrew Merson, who is actually a doctor himself and really seemed to understand all the issues with this. But both events were highly successful, and I think it really helped people in Shaftesbury understand what the issue is. And I think it's important to understand the full issues, because then everyone can reply to the consultation properly with all the appropriate knowledge. So a few other things we've tried to do, and in fact Dick Ripper's been instrumental in this. A lot of us didn't really believe the calculations around the savings that we made if you downgraded the hospital in Shaftesbury to a hub without beds, which were then supported by care home beds and enhanced in-reach support in the area. So, despite asking for this, I believe, Dick, you've not had the data back? Still not had it back from it. So they're keeping tight to us. And if you actually look into their report, you can't actually extract any of that data from the report. The other thing in the report that is a little bit questionable is the travel analysis in the Dorset. It basically states that Blandford should have provided the best access to the wider population, and they state that car travel times at peak time shows that 100% of the population can access these sites in 30 minutes. And fast track. I mean, I've tried. There's so many things that can prevent that happening. It's unbelievable. They also state that 80% of the people can access those sites by public transport within 60 minutes.
We don't even have a bus. We don't even have a bus.
I know. So you can wait longer than 60 minutes for a bus to come in, and
We've
one
been
side
waiting
you haven't
20 years.
And you haven't got a bus too.
We've been waiting 20 years for
Yes,
that.
absolutely. So this data seems fairly questionable. Another slightly disturbing point in the report, section 2.29 of the report says, discussions have begun with Wiltshire regarding potential collaboration in commissioning future provision for the population around the Wiltshire-Dorset borders, which will strengthen the need for a higher specification non-bedded community hub in Shaftesbury. And it says the future site of the local hub in Shaftesbury will be considered in recognition that Shaftesbury Hospital has significant limitations that would not be suitable as a future community hub. Now, I found that slightly disturbing, because it's basically saying we may need a slightly bigger hospital, and we're not going to be able to cope with the existing hospital, so we'd have to shut it down and move it somewhere else. So a neighbourhood plan group went to them and said, would you be interested if we could try and allocate some land somewhere around Shaftesbury for a new hospital? And they came back, the CCG would not be able to support or endorse anything within a public document that might suggest we have preempted the results of a public consultation. So that means they're not interested in looking at anything different in their report. But it could mean that they will listen to the public consultation. Or they may not, I don't know. It's for you to decide. So those are the bits out of it's quite a long report that really slightly concerned me. Now this is the important slide, and this information came out today. I've been chasing them for this information for the last couple of weeks, and they wouldn't give it to me until today, because today was obviously the release date for the press release for when the consultation is happening. So the 3-month consultation on the changes will start on 1st of December and run to the 28th of February 2017. And that's critical. You know, we need to get, if we've got 3,000 people on Dick's petition, we need to get at least that 3,000 people replying to the consultation, because they can ignore a petition. They can file it away, say thank you very much, but they can't legally ignore the consultation, because all that goes into their database, and they have to go through all the responses. And if they get a massive response to it, then you know, it should be good. And all of you know exactly the issues because you've been to all the presentations. You're fully informed, properly informed, to be able to reply to this consultation. The consultation will, they say, will have a series of public engagement events and opportunities to get involved. And they're making the consultation document a paper one as well as the online. So the people who haven't got internet access or prefer to do it on paper, you can do that. I think the paper versions will be available from the surgery, but also the town council will order a couple of thousand of these so that they can be picked up from here as well. They've also got a phone number that they've given if you want to try and find out what other sites are available to get the consultation forms and where to drop them off. And I think, again, the drop-off point is going to be the surgery for this. They also say they're going to do a public drop-in event at the Shaftesbury School. They haven't got a date for that, just to go through and if they can, you know, talk to you and give more information on their plans. A key website to put it in your browser will be this dorsetsvision.nhs.uk, because that's where the web consultation document will be, and also it'll have details of all the different events, and that's going to be updated. So that's going to be the main platform that people will be kept informed from. So 1st of December, that's the key day. So next steps. Make sure you all fill in the consultation forms in the 3 months from December. The local councils will write a joint letter to the Dorset CCG once we can agree a form of words that everyone agrees to. But it's basically, you know, we're all in agreement that we don't want it downgraded to a hub without beds, so it shouldn't be too difficult to get the wording. And obviously Shaftesbury is the lead town in this, so we should try and make sure that everyone gets involved in the local parishes. And I know Gillingham are very keen to carry on with the work that they've already done. After the consultation, they say the results will be analysed by the Dorset CCG and feedback will be given on the analysis. And then the decision regarding the future of the Westminster Hospital will be made sometime in 2017 after they've analysed all the feedback. And that is the total extent of the information that we've managed to get from it. We will get a bit more, obviously, once the consultation starts and they start doing these different drop-in events. So that's the end of the first bit. Any questions on that? I did ask people from the CCG to come here, Dorset CCG, to come here tonight, but they haven't been able to do so. So we can't. If you ask me any clinical questions, I won't be able to answer them. Yes.
It's not really a question, it's just a suggestion. When the last piece of
Can't hear.
Could you stand up and then shout it?
it's just a suggestion. When the last piece of research was presented, the thing that I was surprised at was that working in the library, we haven't had those forms in the library, and that's quite a key community hub. Can I ask that you please make sure that those are in the library this time round, because it's right in the middle of town and it's accessible for everybody really easily. Thank you.
Well, obviously the CCG are controlling it, but we can help with that, because I was talking with them today, and I was saying that we'd probably like to, you know, have a load of forms dropped off at the council because we can distribute some of them as well, and obviously we can drop some off in the library and help with that. I think they're going to primarily focus around the doctor's surgery, because that's the easiest one for them to do throughout Dorset. And there's a lot of sites they've got to control throughout Dorset. Any other questions? Sorry. You.
Most of the operations, acute.
Could we hear the
could you stand
question,
up and
please?
sort of shout it a bit? Yeah.
Right, most of the operations, etc., happen in Yeovil, which is Somerset,
Yeah.
or Odstock, which is Wiltshire.
Yeah.
And presumably these acute hospitals need somewhere for people to continue their recoupment in another hospital. Have either of those hospitals been approached to give their views of what would happen to if they haven't got Shaftesbury to send people back to?
Well, I think that was asked in one of the other sessions.
Can you use your mic, please?
Yeah, I think that was asked in one of the previous sessions, and I think they were basically saying they'd redirect them towards Sherborne or one of the other hubs with beds. And this is part of the reason where people started getting upset because there's a lot of local residents would prefer to recuperate in the local hospital so they could get visits from their friends and family, which is often very beneficial to their recovery.
You said you think. Have they actually given you a written reply, both Odstock and Yeovil?
I know, because I haven't written to either of them. All I've done is arranged to have those two, the presentations we had in this room and in the Shaftesbury school. And at the end of those presentations, a number of residents asked questions. And I think those questions have been written up now, so they may be on the, certainly this one was written up as minutes, so it'll be on the website, the Town Council website, so we can look through that. But we haven't gone and chased the different hospitals to say what impact it will have on them. Andrew Merson was particularly, he gave us like a 10-minute speech, and he basically said it's absolutely the wrong thing to do to get rid of the beds right at the top of Dorset. And he was citing the hospitals, which I'm not totally familiar with, in Wiltshire, and said that it should be really looked as a holistic thing, and they shouldn't just be looking at Dorset in isolation. So whether they've done any of that, I don't know.
But he's an MP, so obviously far more important. But if he thinks it's important,
Yeah.
can it be checked that they have been asked?
The problem we've got is that, as Dick Ripper will testify, that we ask a number of questions to them, like how do you do the calculations to show you have a saving if you reduce the beds, and they don't come back with any of the answers. I, for 2 weeks, have been chasing to get this date, which we got today. They obviously wouldn't give it to me because they decided that they were only going to release those dates on the press release day. So it doesn't matter how much you chase; they'll just. So they're fairly. It's difficult to get information out from them. If you go too low in the organisation, they don't know, and if you go too high, you don't get a response. So, but you could write to them as well, and, if you want to do it.
Well, if the MP can't get an answer, I don't suppose they will.
Because what we need to do is to find out how many people from those hospitals are sent to convalesce at Shaftesbury.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. There isn't a lot of data on that at all. So I'm sure there's probably someone in the audience might know the sort of makeup of the type of patients we've got. Jim, what sort of patients they've got in Shaftesbury? Does anyone know?
Sorry, it's me again.
Yeah.
I can only speak anecdotally from
Yeah.
my personal experience. I was very unwell in Salisbury Hospital and asked to be transferred to Shaftesbury to recover so that
Yeah.
I was close to home. And I was told that it was only for geriatrics and that I couldn't come to And that was Shaftesbury Hospital's understanding. And my husband actually phoned Shaftesbury and said, have you got a bed? Can you take my wife? And he said, absolutely. And I came to Shaftesbury. But the hospital's view was it was a geriatric unit.
It's not. It wasn't a geriatric ward. My partner had palliative care in Shaftesbury at the age of 50, and it's wonderful. They let her capture it, and she lived another 3 years at home.
Yeah, well, that's the beauty of the hospital. Everyone loves it.
I think we need to be very aware that there is a difference between recovery, i.e. convalescence, and palliative care. Total difference between the two. Palliative care is usually for someone whose life expectancy is limited, and we then go on to end of life care. Reablement and re-entry into society is through convalescence, and this is precisely what residential homes could offer, the latter, and may I say, at Seavers Castle Hill for the last 30 years we have been doing all of it.
Excellent.
For young people,
Sorry?
only for old people. Or
No.
young people?
No, we're not age limited.
And your establishment may be key in their plans because they won't,
Yet spoken to us.
but they haven't spoken to you. Okay.
Not yet,
But
not
they-
formally.
Mr Chairman, as of last Wednesday, the petitions are up to well over 4,000,
Fantastic.
and there are still many more to come in. And we were told, we had our meeting last week, that the consultation was going to start the 7th or the 8th of December, and will take 3 months and 5 years to implement.
Well, the information on the slide is definitely correct because it is the first.
But we
for
had
3
it in
months.
writing as well at our meeting, so.
So I got it sent from Simon, you, and I also got the press release that came direct from the CCG. So it's definitely starts in the first with the three months. The 5 years I don't recognise where that's actually not in the report. So
Well, it was in this written report that was read out to us at our meeting
who's the report
from the CCG.
from?
Yeah,
To which group? To the
to the League of Friends.
League of Friends. Okay. Well, I think it's fantastic you've got the petition up to 4,000, and I'm sure Fanny will report that in her report. But I actually think that we need to get that 4,000 onto the consultation, because that's the one that they're really going to take notice of. I think they can pay lip service to to the petition, but they have.
Crossley collected several of them last week. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah,
Excellent
and
work.
There's still many more. To
You did catch their attention. Well, Dick, when the remember Goodson, when you said there was 3,000 names in there, you could see he was quite impressed by that. Any other questions on the hospital? Yes.
Make a suggestion that if the feeling is like that you write to the MP, you tell the MP what people have been saying, both MPs, Andrew Morrison as well. But I would suggest if we feel we're not going to get the right answer, that we call a town poll or a town referendum, which you're able to do and able to propose from this meeting to find out what it is. I've also been invited to the Wiltshire Area Board meeting to discuss some of these very issues. So they're as concerned about this as we are on this side of what is a fictitious boundary. So maybe that's what we should be doing.
Well, I think the last part you said is really important, with the Wiltshire one, because there are a lot of people in Mere and around there that use the hospital, and they're all really concerned about it. And so it does need to be a joint, a cross-border type solution. Both the MPs are involved in it. I know Simon Hall had a separate meeting with the CCG to go through it, and I think they're going to be I mentioned about the joint letter from all the parishes and town councils. I think that's also going to be signed by the MPs, from what I gather. Any other questions? Like just Richard, just got in front of you there.
I just wanted to reiterate what's been said about this cross-border issues. Since we're right on the border of Wiltshire, it's clearly absurd that no account is taken apparently of any medical facilities in Wiltshire. Can we somehow get an assurance from CCG that they will not say you can't comment on Wiltshire because you're not in Wiltshire? That is what tends to happen in these bureaucratic exercises. It's plainly absurd, and I think we would benefit from getting an assurance that they will accept comments from the people in Shaftesbury, Gillingham and so forth about the facilities that we like had to have access to, i.e. in Salisbury, i.e. in Yeovil, i.e. in Somerset in some cases. And I don't want to be told, and that's because anyone in this room wants to be told, in 3 months' time, that all your comments referring to Wiltshire are being discounted because they're not in Dorset. That would be absurd, but I wouldn't be surprised to hear some Jogsworth in Dorchester telling me that. Can we get an assurance that they will take comments of that sort?
That's a very good point, and until we actually see the consultation document, we won't know exactly if there are any exclusions. If there's a rule saying, yeah, only reply to this if you live in Dorset, we'll have to see. But certainly, the fact that Mere and all the local towns in parishes in Wiltshire use the facility, I don't think anyone's going to stop them trying to respond to it. But we will need, we'll take as an action to try and check, see if we can get a reply from them to state how far, what type of people they're going to allow to respond to the consultation. It's a good point.
Chairman, Dr. Morrison has asked for a cross-border meeting.
Right.
And that's been supported by Simon Hall, so that will happen. The sad thing is the District Council don't want to attend that. So our District Council representatives ought to be asking the question down there, bearing in mind the feeling that there is up here.
Right. Well, if Andrew Morrison wants that to happen, and if Simon Hall attends that meeting, it should be a productive meeting. So, one question.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm from the Civic Society.
Right.
And I imagine that reading Rachel Colville's obituaries, people noticed that she had died in that hospital. She wouldn't have been able to die in that hospital if it had been altered and the beds removed and turned into whatever they call it now, hub or
Hub bed.
Fantasy name of that kind. So I think if she was here tonight, she would be arguing vehemently in favour of preserving the hospital, perhaps not exactly in its present form, but in its present ethos and design, and providing all kinds of services, including end-of-life care, at the main building as it stands, not necessarily as it stands now, but some perhaps improved building, but at the same time, one that has the same essential purpose.
Yeah. I'm sure you're absolutely correct. If Rachel would have probably been quite upset if she'd been moved off down to Sherborne or somewhere else. Okay, so Cedars and Castle Hill would have been okay, but not Sherborne. No. So thanks for that. So we've covered half an hour on that first point, so it's time to move on to the second one. So this one is a really complicated subject, which is the new Shaftesbury Primary School. I won't go into the ancient history of how Dorset County Council got their sums wrong and gave back some land that was given to them by Persimmon, because that's all ancient history. They thought the birth rate was declining rather than increasing, and they didn't factor in the social housing, which had more kids. and so there was a big bulge of extra kids. Anyway, it's basically, there are three sites that county have really investigated to try and get a school. I've had meetings with them, and it's number one, which is the land there, which is owned by Mr. Tizard, and then the land, the employment land, which is owned by Persimmon, which is south of the A30, and then there's the Langdale Farm option, which is up there. So and the first one they went after was number one. So they went to an auction, and they were given a brief only to bid up to 400,000. And the bidding went quite brisk, went to 400,000, and then they lost it to Mr. Tizard. They stated to me that the school would now be open had they secured the land. So this is a case of a developer having deeper pockets than the county for going after it. But conversely, maybe county should have been given permission to bid higher than 400,000. I don't know. I'm not an expert in land values, but certainly no one else was bidding. That Persimmon didn't go to the meeting. They weren't interested in trying to get that land. Since then, Mr. Tizard has failed to get planning permission for the houses on the land, and county have gone back to him and asked would he sell for the same price that he paid in the auction, and he's refused to do that because he wants to keep going and try and get planning permission. He thinks he will eventually, even if it's in 10 years' time, get planning permission to build housing. So there's no realistic chance of a school on this site, even though this is the preferred number one choice for the county. I asked the question, couldn't you do a compulsory purchase on this site? Because again, I'm not an expert in this, I thought they could. But apparently, if there's more than one site that you can put a school on, you can't do a compulsory purchase on it. And there are other sites potentially that could have a school, so they're stuck. So this one disappears off the radar. The next one, which is the land south of the A30, which is owned by Persimmon. This is the land mapped out as an industrial site, which is what it's primarily intended.
Sorry, is that the C13 coming up on the left?
C13's down there somewhere. So you've got the A30 there, and it turns down.
No, that's the C13 off the A30 then.
That's the A30. The Eastern Development's up there. That's the Traveller site.
Yep.
That's Cole's land. And then the road you're talking about comes down there. So this has been on the market for, I think, up to 10 years. It's currently on the market for 2.6 million. And Persimmon are not interested in developing this as an industrial site. All they're interested in doing, and they've said in the meeting, is they'd be happy to sell it on to another developer to develop as an industrial site. But they're not in the market of doing these sort of units. There are arguments that potentially we do need additional employment land in Shaftesbury, but maybe not exactly this type of employment land. Maybe more high-tech business units where high-speed broadband, web-based sort of companies could be going in rather than sheds like this where light industrial sort of work could be done. Anyway, I'll move on to the next slide. The neighbourhood plan thought with discussions, wouldn't it be nice to try and use this land for something else other than just employment? Because there are a number of things that could bring employment. And the idea we had, and we also discussed this with Dick Ripper and a few other people, civic society people, that the school could go on there. in this particular location, the county council it was their second choice. They did want to go to build the school on this particular site, and they had drawn up plans for this. But we thought you could have the school on there, and that would leave a lot of space down here you could put a hospital on it. You could put, if you wanted to move the surgery across there, you could move that. If you wanted to move the ambulance service, you could move that. And you could put everything on the same site. That would free up all the other different sites in Shaftesbury, and some creative developer could make sense of all the other bits and make it happen. It would be a massive project. It would be almost like the utopian thing for people in Shaftesbury, because they get their new school and they get a new hospital. But quite how you'd actually put this together, I don't know, because it involves a tremendous amount of money. You need obviously all the MPs, the LEP, everything else trying to help with it. That was the idea, so we tried to explore that. So we had some, the next step for me then was to speak with Persimmon, because they're the landowners, and if you're in the neighbourhood plan, you have to get permission of the landowners to do anything. So I had a meeting with them, and lo and behold, on that meeting, they brought a new scheme that they had just developed, which I didn't know about, and this has been submitted. They've actually submitted 2 schemes to North Dorset, but this is the one that will interest more people. The second scheme is putting all houses on the site, so that will have lots of objections, so no need to discuss that one much further. But this scheme they're putting forward, which is to put a retail park on the front of the site. And the reason they want retail on there is because they've been approached by Aldi and Lidl, or firms like that. And so they know they could easily sell that land to them. They've identified this particular site for the primary school, and they'd like to have a housing development to finance the whole thing. On the housing development, there would be 30% social housing, affordable housing, and then at the back of it would be a public open space, which is probably needed because the main objections to TISA getting planning permission was to keep the green corridor and the views going through this particular site. So the public open space that there would fit in with that. So the problems with this, the site is within the settlement boundary, but it only has planning permission for B1, B2, B8 business and industrial uses. If they wanted to have a school in it, you need to have D1, C3 for residential, and A1 for retail. And that would need quite a bit of convincing for North Dorset to switch to that. I have had a meeting with North Dorset, and also with Persimmon, and also with County, all in the same room, and basically asked what the likelihood of anything like that occurring, changing the use or that. And the one I was interested in primarily was getting the primary school on there. North Dorset, I'm not used to those sort of meetings, we're very cagey. I'm not a land developer, but basically they just reiterated back all the planning policies to me, saying exactly what is available on that land. And then they said you could put in a speculative bid to propose one of those options, or you could have the neighbourhood plan, do a consultation and try and push that through that way. The problem we have with the neighbourhood plan doing it is that we would be going against the local plan, because the local plan has specified this for an industrial unit, and we don't really want to try and take on North Dorset with the neighbourhood plan, because it just makes the process much more complicated. So at the moment, you could say that's in stalemate. Both those ideas, that one, you know, we had the CCG saying they couldn't comment on whether they'd be interested in moving the hospital. And this one we've got North Dorset just reiterating their planning policies. So that's a dead end as regards the neighbourhood plan. Then we've got the Langdale Farm proposal, which is by Charles Higgins and Proctor, Watts, Cole and Rutter. So this is quite an interesting scheme as well, but it has got issues here. And this particular site, the county were originally negotiating to get this land specifically just to build a school on it, and the rest of it they were going to sell off as a farm or whatever. So with this particular proposal, because it is now there's a land purchase option being secured by Charles Higgins, so county can't negotiate on this. They have to deal everything through Charles Higgins. The problems that have been described to me is that the access is unsuitable down Manpits Lane, and there's going to be a probable objection from DCC Highways. Persimmon in the meeting categorically stated they will not grant access across their land for this scheme if there are houses involved in it. They would grant access if there are no houses involved in it. The land is outside the settlement boundary, so the houses proposed in that particular area are against the North Dorset local plan. And then there's another point, which is that the houses are this is the bypass corridor, which at some time in the future, maybe God knows how long, 20 years, if ever, a bypass will be built. Although it is a council policy, we are pushing to try and get that. And if Fairy Godmother comes with lots of millions of pounds, we might get it. Any houses here would be the wrong side of the bypass corridor, and the school would be, so there'd have to be a bridge built when the bypass is built. So another sort of issue with that. So you've got conclusion on that. I said this is complicated. There's 4 options. Option number 1, Mr. Tizzard's not. I think there's close to 0 chance that Mr. Tizzard will change his mind. So you can discount that one. The employment land owned by Persimmon. The land is reserved for employment in a local plan. So the only way to get planning permission would be to find other land that could be allocated for employment, such as, say, the cattle market site. You could have a high-tech business unit put on there, which would, North Dorset would see as compensating for the loss of the employment land south of the A30. They did state the neighbourhood plan could help with that process. Whether we want to or not, I don't know. We would only do that if the residents of Shaftesbury wanted us to do that. The Langdale Farm option with the houses and the pitches, lands outside the settlement boundary, it's got poor access by Manpits Lane. It's unlikely to get planning permission, and in fact, both the houses and the pitches increase the amount of traffic that would be going down Manpits Lane to make it more difficult to get planning permission. And the big fly in the ointment is the fact that Persimmon have stated they won't grant any access over their land if there are houses involved in the development. So that takes you to the 4th option, which is Langdale Farm, which with the DCC without houses. If, for instance, you had a scenario where this scheme was proposed to North Dorset and planning permission failed on it, potentially the land option at some point in the future would expire, and North Dorset County DCC would have an option of either trying to go and back onto Langdale Farm and just get planning permission for a school by itself without houses, and then Persimmon would cooperate with them, or they could look at the land south of the A30. They had stated earlier that they preferred the land south of the A30 because the access of the A30 is so good, and there won't be any issues with the county highways. They may also get around with this one if Persimmon help them build a road across, although you still have the problem with the bypass corridor. So this whole thing is quite complex. One thing is for sure, that the school won't be built by September next year, which is what they originally said. I think the other thing that they've stated as well is that the complication, they believe, with the option 3, with the land purchase option, has delayed the process, because they have to wait until that concludes before that they could step back in and see if they could do the option without houses. And of course, you may have a situation that the price that DCC want to give to the Langdale farm may not be appropriate for what the farmer wants. So they may turn it down. So you may go nowhere. It may go round in circles. So it is, and that's what I say, it's a very complex one. The easiest option would be the A30 site if North Dorset said fine, but they're sticking to they're going to say it's an employment site, and you'd have to have somewhere else another employment site to compensate it before they would even consider it. Right, any questions? Yeah.
There are a couple of points. The first is options 1 and 2, south of the town, south of the estate. You've got road safety issues there. You've got kids going across an A road. So that can't possibly happen. There's nothing the other side. The children aren't going to be bussed in from the south. They're going to be bussed in from this side. Children automatically will go across a road if they think they see a chance. All right? They are not savvy. If it's a primary school, which it is, they're not actually able to judge distances until they're at least 10 or 11 years of age. So basically, that should never even be considered. Persimmon want Asda or whichever other company's there. Second point is, you put a big business retail park out there, this place dies, because everybody will be doing their shopping there who aren't coming into town. And thirdly, the option 4 would seem to be the best option. If Persimmon want to hold all the cards, why not just tell them, well, we will go to option 4 without houses. The school is the most important thing. The pictures are the most important thing, because we still need green belt land. Everything else is being built around here. So let's go for option 4 without the houses and see how that goes. Option 3 with houses, you might as well, Persimmon will just basically hold you to ransom yet again.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there's a lot of good points there. If I tell you what County have said about the road issue, they've stated that most of the primary school kids these days get dropped off by parents, and when it's raining, it's close to 100% get crossed off. The other thing is that they stated there is a control junction there, so you can put the same as you've got in Christie's Lane. You can put those crossings going across it. It's a busy road. I take your point. It's not ideal. Equally, Langdale Fire, if that bypass get built, that's going to be busy.
I moved up here in 1984 as a police officer. The bypass was being planned there. Yeah. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Not in ours.
Yeah. Did I miss it? It was a third. Oh yeah, you said about the retail.
Yeah.
I think Persimmon put that into the equation because they claim that's the only offers they've had in the last 10 years have been for retail outlets going there wanting to buy it. So that's the reason. So I think it's purely pragmatic because they've had the offers for it.
Richard, I live in Melbury, as many people know, and we are suffering desperately with enormous heavy goods vehicles coming. There is a voluntary one-way system whereby heavy goods come down into Melbury and up Spread Eagle Hill and then return to Shaftesbury on the A350. Those lorries then go all over the place. The A30 is getting more and more and more clogged. Round town is getting more clogged. I think it is dangerous to think of a school on the south side of the town, and I agree with the former speaker. I think it's just madness. We'd have to have bridges or tunnels or something. We could call them moles, I suppose, and they could all go through.
So you have to remember that county, their first two options, their preferred options. You know,
But they don't live there, they don't know the
but
traffic.
exactly, but you know their number one choice was the
They can't
desert.
have that.
They certainly can't have it.
John.
John.
Thank you, Mayor. You've given us 4 options, none of which appears to be possible for various reasons. You therefore have to start looking outside the box. One of the options would be to let the school go ahead on the Langdale site and to find the cost of at least putting a small road in from the A30 along the track of the reserve corridor. You didn't mention in the presentation about Scheme 3 that those 15 acres of pitches would be at zero cost to the town. That scheme will give the town a serious improvement in their sporting facilities. If you were, as the neighbourhood plan group, and maybe you are intending to, and we'll cover it next, if you were to consult the people of this town on whether they wanted that planned, if they realised there were 15 acres of sports pitches, then they might cause such a row that we get a road built from the A30 and it can all go ahead. Can I suggest that this option is put forward to DCC Highways, to Persimmon, and to anybody else that's interested in getting the darn school built? Because you've given us 4 options, none of which are going to work for the foreseeable future. Thank you.
Well, well, certainly you can write to DCC and suggest your idea of the road. I don't know what the cost would be in building a road for that distance up there.
If I could just reply to you straight away. Option 4, I've never heard of before. I'm the chair of the Planning and Highways Committee on STC, and I didn't know about option 4, so I'm responding to it at the spur of the moment. Option.
It was mentioned at the neighbourhood plan meeting and John was there. So
Yeah, it was mentioned at the neighbourhood plan meeting, and and you were there.
Option 4 was not mentioned. Option 3 was mentioned in a rather derogatory way. Option 4 was not mentioned.
Option 4. So this option, Langdale Farm option, DCC with houses, you've been in a meeting with me when DCC said about this scheme.
Can we hear you, please?
You were, John, you were in a meeting with me when DCC mentioned about this scheme. That was their preferred original scheme that they went for. They were pursuing this scheme up until Phil and his company put in the land purchase option.
I would raise an objection on that. My name is John Dunn from Charles Higgins. We got involved in this purely and simply because DCC were not getting involved in getting a school for the town. So we only came here purely and simply as an enabler. The farm owner wants to sell all their land in one go. They do not want to sell off a small parcel of their land and then be left with the rump of land which will no longer be viable as an equestrian centre. As an equestrian centre, it has a certain value. As playing fields for the community, it also has value. As a school site, it has value. Charles Higgins has made the offer to DCC that they can take on the conditional contract at the price which we have got it at, without any uplift or anything or refurbishment of any costs that we have currently incurred, and they can take that on. They can deal with the planning. If they choose to go down the route for enabling housing to fund the site for the provision of the playing fields at zero cost to the community, for funding any access route into it, then that is fine. The object here is to try and facilitate community facilities within the town.
Okay.
If there are any other points on it, I would very happily answer those.
Okay, if I answer that, that was raised in the meeting, and county stated they had permission to buy the the whole farm, and they were negotiating. There were delays. I went to a meeting with the farmer, and they were upset at some of the delays. The delays were mainly due to the access, because they were talking to County Highways and trying to find a way around that. I think the difference between your story and what County's story is probably County didn't want to pay exactly 2.6 million, which is the asking price. Probably they wanted to negotiate a lower figure for the whole site.
The county had not been in touch with the landowner for 18 months, even though the agent, Paul Spong of Savills, has been talking with Persimmon, with Paul Scoffin from the Dorset County Council. The frustration from the farmers' point of view is that they wanted some clarity. They wish to move on. They do not wish to keep on doing nothing, waiting, while DCC, we know councils, we know NHS, because we deal with NHS property, take an inordinate amount of time. So that we have tried to facilitate discussion and some action, and the land is available for purchase. But they at no point, as I am aware, were able to facilitate the purchase of the whole farm from the farmers.
As I said, in the meeting, which was only a week ago, they stated they had permission to buy the whole farm, but they, as county council, have to get what they call best value for their land, and they don't believe that the price that the land options are, which is 2.6 million, which was the original asking price, they don't believe that. They wanted to negotiate that price. So I think that's where the difference is. So it's not a case anyone's lying, county or certainly not you. It's just different perceptions. They've got their rules, and they believe they should negotiate a different. So that's why they didn't want to buy the purchase option off you, because they don't want to pay 2.6 million. They believe that the land is worth less than that. Richard.
Can I ask Mr. Dunn about the 15 acres that is in Wiltshire? What complication does having some of the land in Wiltshire pose?
We had a very good discussion with Paul Scoffin in Dorchester, and we were looking at the layout to have part of the school on the Wiltshire land and the playing fields on part Dorset and part Wiltshire. What he wanted, as you see, if you can't see that plan, I've got some other plans here if you're interested.
I can go back.
But
that's the blue area, am I right?
The blue area is Wiltshire, and the site to the left is in Dorset. What he said, he wanted the school buildings in Dorset, and he's very happy having the playing fields in Wiltshire. That works for him. The layout of the school is the standard DCC model that they are wanting to put out at the minute for a 2-form entry school. Does that answer the question?
Well, it doesn't entirely. There's a subsidiary question, and that is the playing fields will need to be level. The ground slopes away down towards St Mary's School. Are there not, if you're going to have to landfill or move or earth move, is that not going to cause issues with drainage and water courses and all the rest of it?
I understand that what the landscape architect has come into a proposal is that because you've got this natural atrium, what do you call it? Dip in the land. Thank you. They were saying that there will be some points to be able to chop a bit away and back and fill a bit. So you have in stages, you have these playing fields within the thing. So you have small amount of them. You don't fill amphitheatre type scenario. That is how the landscape person has come up with it, to do the minimal amount of interaction with the landscape. Because from the public consultation, there was a lot of discussion about how long would it take to fill and would it settle, and then your drainage thing. And so the landscape person has really looked at it and said, well, actually, we can create a natural amphitheatre around it, so we actually get some basic seating and viewing galleries on the banks and so on. It actually seemed to make an awful lot of sense. But if we pass over the land to the community, they can do it as they want. I mean, that's the whole object, is just try and facilitate it.
The far eastern boundary of that playing field is on the edge of St Mary's School. Do you think they would like it?
No, St Mary's is much further on.
I think it's. I have no idea. If it's a bit further on, it's. I can't comment on that.
Why not?
Sorry?
I suppose the answer to me, why not?
Why can't I have any comment on it? I've got no idea what St Mary's School feels about it.
Well, but having a football pitch next to your school isn't...
Would be perfect.
Yeah, exactly so.
One more thing.
Bernie,
Women's football's coming up. Yeah.
one of the teams. Could I just ask the gentleman if the bridge were to be built, who would pay for it?
Bridge, which bridge?
Bridge over the bypass.
If this wonderful bypass that comes in, which will be lovely, I'm sure everyone will be really pleased. But we have Langdale Farm that side of the road. They will have to construct an access at whatever time. They will have to construct an access over whatever bypass route they do. So whether it is precisely for a school or whether it is just for the farm, they will have to put a price on the cost of installing some sort of access.
And are you saying that the 16 executive houses are going to facilitate this?
That is
elements of the quotation, of the equation.
I'm hoping so. Well, we've had a discussion with James Wilson at Jackson Stocks, who's looked at some basic ideas of house prices. We've looked at various ways of facilitating those. We've had Steve Savage from Dorset Highways on a nice and warm morning walking up and down Mampits Lane, and we've got certain discussions going on with Dorset Highways about how to facilitate that. We also have an interesting conundrum because we have this very large, very substantial company called Persimmon, who are building lots and lots of houses in your town, or on the edge of your town. They are providing a huge amount of pressure on your facilities. They have now just said that they are not going to, at any time, let any of their access come into this site, which is precluding and holding to ransom the town for having a school on a piece of land which is basically available, because they obviously want to put the school on their land to try and generate some value out of the land on the south of the A30. So it's an interesting little thing. They want more housing. They're trying to get plot 7 consented and more housing. There just seems to be no particular give. I deal with Persimmon on a couple of other sites, and they are equally commercial.
So out of all the 4 options, yeah, I'm ambivalent which one will succeed. But basically, I just want to get the primary school. Oh, sorry, I just want to get the primary school sorted for the kids.
It doesn't worry me which option gets it, as long as so that my perspective.
How, if it was to be option 3 or option 4, how would people get to that store?
Well, before the bypass is built, easy, they can walk down it as well.
Mampits is going to have a bus get by Persimmon, that's their plans.
True.
So how else are they going to get out a single road which is unknown? Is that the way they're going to get into the school?
I honestly don't know. All I know in the meeting that I was told by county that there are significant problems with access to that, and
there is no access to get up.
And that was the reason that they then approached Persimmon to see if he could get access across it, and then this alternative scheme came on.
Yes.
Regarding option 2, when you mentioned that, you said that because it's employment land, NDC would require you to find alternative land for that purpose. And you mentioned specifically the cattle market site. Now, I don't know the size of all these sites.
If I go back and correct myself, they actually stated, just regurgitate all their policies to me, saying this is for employment, and then at the end of it they said, if you were to do something, you'd have to find somewhere else.
Exactly, right. But I don't know the size of all the sites, but would the cattle market site be big enough for a school? I don't know.
The cattle market site will be big enough for a school. Would. Yeah.
I mean, to me, that seems to be an option 5 potentially, if it was 5.
9 acres?
No, it's 2.2 acres. They
It was just looking at on your map, the area in option 2 that
was hectares.
Persimmons has come up with that.
Which one of these diagrams had, that's it, it's 2.23 hectares for the school. So, do you know what the size of the catwalk is?
Not less than that.
Is it? Okay, according to Phil, it's less than.
Just an idea.
Where the children play, if you were to put a school on that
Yeah.
side, fine, they wouldn't have played. That's the
Small
point of
point.
that.
That's right.
It's not decide they should play.
That's why it's not up there, I suppose, an option. Yes, Dave?
As you remember, a couple of years ago, on behalf of Charlton District Chamber of Commerce, we petitioned the local businesses in the area 2 years ago, not just our members, but the wider business community, to feed back into the neighbourhood plan. Two of the things that came out of that was the absolute need for light industrial units to provide employment, and the second thing was the objection to out-of-town large retail. Unlike any plan to consider that view from the local business community, I think the site 2, we have to fight to ensure that that remains light industrial unit or have an equally large site elsewhere. I don't, from what we've seen from Persimmon already, I think were they to build houses on that, there's no guarantee that we'd then get the light industrial units or the infrastructure we need. Because the last few years we've seen building and no infrastructure. So I think we have to protect that site and not allow anything to be built on it. I believe that NDC, because it's already in the North Dorset plan, that it's probably whistling in the wind to try and change that. It is worrying that the Planning Commission doesn't differentiate between large retail shed and large industrial shed. It differentiates, I understand, between residential and industrial. But we need to retain, we need the infrastructure. We said this at meetings about 2 years ago. We need the infrastructure before we have the houses, not afterwards. If we allow that to be built on, there's no chance of ever getting the light industrial that we need for employment for the people who are going to be living in these houses.
So, actually, the situation is slightly worse than that, in that North Dorset have put out a call for land to potentially to have houses or whatever. And Persimmon have responded to that call for land by putting this scheme forward. Also another scheme which is all houses, 100%. So, yeah, so they've actually submitted two schemes to North Dorset. One which is 100% housing in all that area, and one has got the school, retail, and a bit of houses. So, I don't, and again, from what I can understand with these call, there's a 5-year guaranteed housing supply that North Dorset have got. So this call for land would be probably for greater than 10 years time, rather than certainly in the next 5 years. That's the impression I got. John?
The only other thing which I think one ought to possibly consider is that if you're feeling very passionate about delivering the playing fields and the school, and Persimmon are still going for their Plot 7 consent, which is in front of the planners now, then it is actually very much within your gift to make your representations to the planning office that they should not get consent for additional housing on Plot 7 unless they make the land available for the school and the playing fields, and then there will be no need for housing, because they can then provide an access, they can take the farmer's land at their money, and they will then be providing the playing fields. There won't need to be any housing, and they can provide it. Charles Higgins is not looking to make a profit out of this. It is a purely facilitator's position. So if they want to take it on and deliver the facility for you in exchange for getting part of the planning on Plot 7, then that would be good. That would be good for the community.
Point noted.
Yes.
Can I just correct one factual inaccuracy? Your site 1, there is, planning permission is still extant for that site, and Mr. Tizard is looking for between 120 and 40 houses, between 40 and 120 houses on that site. that planning application has not failed or been withdrawn, so
No.
it's still a live application. It's not the implication of your
No,
slide.
well, I didn't want to, also it's been put forward into the SHLA, the Strategic Land
Indeed it
Housing
has.
Allocation. I didn't want to mention words like that because,
But it's still a really important factor in all this. And the other question I would have is that currently there are places at Shaftesbury Primary School. If you're looking at a 2-entry new primary school, you're looking at 350 to 400 more children. If you built that school now, and I suspect Dorset County have no intention of building it now, that would completely destabilise the other provision for primary schools in this area, and that cannot be what we want to achieve. There will be a longer term need for that school, but it certainly isn't now, and we should not build any hopes that Dorset County will respond by building a school in advance of a genuine need. I've been down this route before with the County Council, and they talk a lot, but they do not deliver, and they have no money at present.
Maybe someone else in the room knows the situation on the school, but certainly County said to me that the school is full.
It's currently got 30 places.
Well, there's obviously a difference between what they say and what. Yes.
I don't. I work in primary school. I volunteer. I retired from there. Why not with the green area they've got at the school?
Yeah.
Build a state-of-the-art school on that. Knock down the old school, then they've still got playing area.
I suggested that. I suggested to her that, and I thought it was a good idea. But they came back. They came back and said there are certain limits to the size that they like to build primary schools, and it would be bigger than their national guidelines that they go to. But to me, that sounded a good solution.
The infrastructure, and that we still need the infrastructure in Shaftesbury. There is still new people coming into Shaftesbury with family people are going to the school. We are going to want a bigger school to accommodate those people.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it.
Yes, Chairman, we've heard an awful lot about what we want, what's needed, fears about what is going to be lost if we lose the business park to the south of the A30. We've heard that there's access issues for children on the A30. There's access issues for children if you use Langdale Farm. I mean, people must remember there's over 200 houses that Barrett wants to build off that area and all that sort of thing. Common sense would say that we need an inquiry by design meeting where all these options are on the table, all the wish list is on the table that's required, and we actually sort out where these things go. I detect that the County Council don't want to do that, but I mean, I see no reason why the Town Council couldn't do it. And what the planners at North Dorset have told me is if the County Council were to put in an application for a school, it would be considered even if some of the other sites have other uses. If it's a serious need, it will be considered. The point is getting someone to put an application in to build the school. All this is nice to hear. It's nice to hear we've got a development company that does it all without wanting to make any money. The first one on me. But if we've got all this wish and all this momentum in the town, why don't we have a proper meeting? Look at all the available sites. There's an infrastructure map that's got all these sites on it, and try and work out and use the neighbourhood planning. I understand your concern about the possibility of it not going in with the district-wide local plan, but neighbourhood planning is about land use. So let's sort out the land.
If you could only find a field somewhere that didn't have any planning on it and then propose that, it would be, neighbourhood planning would be brilliant for that, but it's going to get really difficult and embroiled in all sorts of things with us. So I don't anticipate.
We've got a number of sites identified. You've got Langdale Farm, you've got the A30 site, you've got the cattle market site. There's other things that want to expand, like Oval College or Shaftesbury College. I'm sure there must be businesses looking to expand in the town. And quite rightly, we don't really want to end up like the Gillingham Town Centre, if at all possible. So whatever does go on out there needs to be something that suits the community. I suggest that you hope that sort of...
That may be a good idea. Certainly Persimmon floated the idea of getting perhaps your scheme with their scheme, you know, in a town hall sort of meeting where you put boards up and any other options, and then just get people to, in a proper consultation, to go and look at it. And that's the sort of thing that the town council could facilitate in this room, and everyone could come in and express their views.
To be very cynical and say 20 years ago, I was involved, as probably some other people were, in a planning for real exercise before one house went up on the eastern side of Shaftesbury. We said, retain the hedgerows. We said you'll need a new school. We said all sorts of things, none of which has been delivered. Sorry, Leicester, I'm very cynical about this sort of consultation.
Just say one more thing.
Yeah.
The highways department, they don't want parents driving their children to school. So that would alleviate the problem of Persimmon holding you to ransom for driving to the school. Because from their site, and they can't stop you driving up Allen Road, they can't stop you driving down Manpits Lane to the junction. The children can then walk without there being any cars to the school. So, and then Persimmon can't stop you from going on to Allen Road, which is now adopted, I believe. It's all adopted by the council, so it's freedom to go through there. So drive up there, go for option 4.
Last question.
Just a quickie, Richard, can you confirm what Mr. Dunn mentioned, the notorious Parcel 7, the so-called white land where the school was originally meant to be, which the county council stupidly gave away? Can you confirm that there is absolutely no prospect of that being resurrected? That land is still available. I think you had a little white square on your plan over there.
I can confirm that's no longer available, and I don't understand how a county council could give, free of charge, that land back to Persimmon.
Because they're stupid.
I just don't understand how they could do it. Because I thought that they would have charged some money for it at least, but no, it was just given back saying we don't need it. I think I need to move on to the next because we've run.
Just a quick option 2 and option 1 were, I think, actually just option 2. It was just involving the school in an industrial area. Do children and lorries mix well?
No, there wouldn't be an industrial area there. What their proposal was to make it housing.
No, your previous slide, you showed a different layout.
Oh, this one was a school. The school with medical facilities there. No industrial. But yeah, that would be great for Shaftesbury if we could do that. But I haven't got a clue how you'd need a mega developer to do it.
I could do that for you.
Yeah, we need someone like we need someone like Jonathan Dunn to do it, because he could then tackle the getting rid of the hospital, converting it into old people's homes, and then building a new hospital there. That is a mega project. It's very expensive project to do. But yeah.
But Persimmon's land isn't worth 2.6 million with a consent for industrial, and they want to increase it.
I think that's probably why it hasn't sold for 10 years.
Correct.
Okay, so running slightly behind, 20 minutes behind schedule. Back onto neighbourhood plan. Why is it important? Because it allows the community to set policies to protect the things we want in our town. It is binding on the planning authority, then it carries the same weight as the local plan. We can decide where development can be located if it hasn't already been specified in the local plan. Unfortunately, a lot of it has. But this is quite an important thing for the town. We can get 25% instead of the 15% from a levy that's on any development. It's called SIL money. And this SIL money goes basically to the town council, and then it can spend it on different community facilities for the town. So it's good to get that. Right, on the next one. What a neighbourhood plan can't do, it can't conflict with the strategic policies of a local plan. So you can't go against that, and you can't really be used to prevent development that's included in a local plan. So if they've designated houses, you're never going to overturn that land. So there's no point really trying to do it. Quickly then, James has put together a new website which has been launched this week. And on this, we've now populated with all the documents, the minutes, different consultations, base evidence. So we're starting to build that up into be a repository of information of all of which has been put into the neighbourhood plan. So it's a work in progress. It will continue to be tidied up, but there's about 75 different documents on there already. And then aesthetically, we'll try and make it look a bit better.
Richard, we can't read. What's the website address?
Oh, it's shaftesburyplan.co.uk. So if you put Shaftesbury Plan into Google, it'll come up straight on that. Yeah, so it's a bit small to read it up the top there. So this is the vision that we've got in it. Hopefully people agree with this. Shaftesbury is at the heart of the area, is a peaceful, welcoming market town with strong historic, artistic and cultural connections, famous for its Saxon origins, its splendid views from the hilltop town, and being the home of Gold Hill, its strength lies in its diversity of people, its growing reputation for arts, culture and tourism, and its strong local character. In planning for our future, we want to have a real regard for this heritage, community spirit, and make sure we provide the basis for a prosperous, lasting future that provides a high quality of life for all who live and work in the town and its surrounding villages. I mean, Shaftesbury is special, and Richard Thomas, who's now on the neighbourhood planning group, that's his big thing. He keeps emphasising to the group that we need to have to sell our unique features of Shaftesbury in.
Me and everybody, Richard. Me and everybody. Me and everybody.
You and everybody. From the questionnaire that we did, basically the key issues that came out from that, and there were a lot of different things, but if you home in on the main things, it's really having good healthcare, education and leisure facilities. There were so many free-form comments on that, it was unbelievable. Key issue number 2, people want a strong and vibrant town centre. So they don't want the town centre, as David was saying, they don't want it to be killed by too much out-of-town shopping that pulls away. We don't want to go the same way that Gillingham has gone. Key issue number 3, having the right type of houses, in particular affordable housing for local people. There were a lot of people saying on the plan about starter homes and things like that, and finding a way that local people could really buy these and not have the schemes where people were coming in from outside. So they wanted the rules to be made sure that it was a discount for local people and that we had affordable housing for locals. Make sure that the development respects and reinforces the local character. Shaftesbury is a very characteristic, unique sort of town, so that obviously needs to be respected. Things like the greenstone, etc. There are a number of policies. This is just, we've employed a consultant called Jo Witherden. She's helping with put together the planning policies. We basically unloaded reams with the stuff on her that were getting quite complex to go through, and she sorted through them and got the main issues out. And she's come up with 11 policies from that. First one relates to the town centre and shop frontage. I won't go into what a policy actually says because it'll take too much time. The second one reinforces the character of the town centre. It's important to preserve the character of this town centre because it protects all the business that is going there. Starter homes for younger people, housing suitable for the ageing population, because we have got a lot of older people in the town. Creating vibrant housing areas, that means multi sort of use in there, so that it's not just a big housing estate. Respecting and reinforcing the local character, detailed design of new buildings, plan policy on that. Locally listed building, protecting putting lists of all the buildings we need to protect, apart from the ones that are formally listed. These are buildings that have a significant character in Shaftesbury. Then we've got the local green spaces, and this is really important to list all these, to protect them, to make sure no one goes and builds them. Bernie and John Parker leading the way of identifying all the green spaces and put it into a giant database which is referenced from this to make sure that they will be protected. And then policy 11 is the key views. Shaftesbury is unique with having all these views outwards, which need to be identified and protected to avoid them being spoiled. That's quite a complicated policy to put together, but I think Joe's put a good stab at it. Then we want to put some projects in there to. This is our flagship project, and the reason this has to go into the neighbourhood plan is during a referendum, people will vote on the neighbourhood plan, and we need to get more than 50% accepting the plan. We want to divert quite a lot of the SIL money, etc., that we've got into this particular project so that it gets built. At the moment, there's only 300,000 in S106 money that we can put into it. I think it's going to be somewhere in the region of 2 million to build this. So we need to get a lot more money from development money to put in there, I think. So this is going to be built at Coppice Street. And I say it's important to get the support. It's called the Point. That's the site. It's right next to the football pitch, next to Coppice Street. And it's going to be developing all that particular area there. And Tesco's is up here. This is the basic sort of design concept where you've got the existing youth club which will be refurbished and rebuilt, and then you've got a community hall next to it which is linked to a music hall, and the band hall will move and relocate to this particular site, freeing up the site in Barton Hill because the bowls club want to do something to expand onto their site. So it's a bit like one of these Chinese puzzles where you move things around. This needs to happen before the bowling club can do their bit. So this is what it looks like, which I think you'll agree is a very attractive sort of concept, and will look great, you know, on that particular site. This is the site plan showing the 3 units, and then all around the edge you've got this parking for it, and this is the football club training pitch there, which is sort of encompassed by all this parking. It retains the play areas at the top, retains the green corridor down here. To be honest, it's a very, very attractive design that's been put together. I think it's been put in for planning permission already, and I think I believe, and then the town council have supported that. I'll have to check on that. Those are the more detailed plans of what the buildings look like, and they're very flexible spaces that can be used for concert halls, music practice rooms, youth clubs, you know, all the there's a whole list of different community organisations that would want to use this facility, so there'd be a lot of additional recreation facilities that are going to go on it. So it's a fabulous concept. Sorry, and I hope we will get a lot of support for that. Melbury Abbas, they've got a project that they will be going into the plan, and that's basically to refurbish their hall, their community hall, and then there may be other projects that we put in as well, but you know, this definitely is our flagship one, and quite honestly, that by itself will be enough, because that's a great thing. So we hope to get a completed draft plan by February 2017. The biggest problem with trying to get a completed plan is people trying to introduce new things. So it's like a moving target. You know, it's very difficult to nail off and then complete it, but because people think of different things all the time. After we've got the completed draft plan, we'll do some pre-consultations in the town, but then it goes into a formal 6 weeks consultation where people get the opportunity to criticise, add things to the plan, change things, whatever. So we then, all these comments have to be shown to the inspector, and we have to respond to them, and then make any alterations to the plan for any of the ideas that make sense. So we finalise a draft plan, following the consultation, hopefully by sort of April 2017. And we hand over to North Dorset in May 2017 for examination. They appoint an external examiner who looks at the plan. He can make changes. He can recommend all sorts of things to it as well. Hopefully we won't be going against any issues in the local plan, any strategic issues, and they will be easy to get through. Blandford have submitted a plan which does go against some of the strategic issues, and they're getting a lot of problems with theirs. Gillingham's plan looks like it's going pretty good, and also Sturminster has got quite an very ambitious plan, and that seems to be going quite well. So we're slightly running behind the others, but none of them have actually got done a referendum or adoption yet. So we're on the same sort of home straight as them. So maybe plan, and that's got me caught up. Any questions on neighbour plan? Yes.
Sorry, I probably it's on there, but where would the cars go into this new site?
Oh, that's an excellent question.
Can you repeat it for us, please?
So the question is, where would the cars go into this site? And that is a really good question, because at the moment with the youth club, they go in on Carpet Street, and the idea is to get them to go off Tesco's roundabout in there. And county highways prefer this. They don't want to have the additional traffic going into Carpet Street. They actually quite like that, and it's a much more attractive way to get into the site. So it's a very good question.
How would you prevent people that aren't? Would you have some system to stop sort of casual parking in there? Bearing in mind there's another big development just down the road with insufficient parking for it.
Well, it's right next to the Tesco.
Can you repeat the question?
The question is, how would you prevent people just parking in there and walking into town? And so I don't know, that's not really being addressed in the design brief. Of course, if they wanted to completely restrict it, they could put a gate across it and then key cards to go in, but no one's even thought of that. I think it may not be a problem. Maybe they could address it if it becomes a problem. But the fact it's next to the Tesco park, and Tesco car park rarely gets completely full, it's only at certain times.
I suppose I see the parking on Poppy Street, and if you're offering parking with the community centres, which you need, when people come to use the community centres, they need to be able to park rather than sort of, business. Poppy Street's very bunged up with parking now, and I think it should become an issue where parking is at a premium in Shaftesbury.
Well, parking is definitely a premium in Shaftesbury, so it's a very good point you said. Once you introduce the new parking, people will try and get in there, even if they're not going to be using the band hall. So I think they'd and the community hall would have to address that if it becomes an issue after it's built. David.
Just the things that might address the need for the council car parking, because I may have missed that bit. We approached North Dorset and did it saying that this was one of the arguments we were going to be giving for the cattle market to preserve the car parking on it, which is I think there's a definite need for. And they said if you put it into the neighbourhood plan, you have to evidence that there's a requirement for car parking, and they gave a survey which was done 15 years ago to me, which indicated there's more than enough car parking
So then I tried to persuade them to update the survey, which they refused because it cost something like £8,000 to £9,000 to do that survey. So all we're going to do is a cheap and cheaper way of doing it. I'm going to be going around taking photographs of the car parks when they're full of capacity to try and give some evidence that there is an issue. Yes.
So the town council has a legal right for people of the town to use the car parking at the capital market. It's a legal agreement, but unfortunately you've actually blocked the lawyer advising us on the technicalities. But any days that are not market days, the people of the town, through the town council, have a right to park on that land.
I've not blocked any lawyer. You went to the meeting with a lawyer. I wasn't involved in that meeting. It's nothing has been blocked.
It does mean that the car park has to get locked. People can use it and not locked again at 4 o'clock.
So I did actually go to North Dorset and say that we have a legal right to use the car park, and they came back and said that isn't the case. So that would need to be explored. It's an informal agreement rather than a formal legal agreement. So
That's definitely an informal agreement because we agreed it with the capital market corporation.
it's informal, is it?
It's informal.
Informal.
They agreed as long as members of the town council opened and shut the gates and had the signs up, they would allow it to stay open. The other thing is you do have professional advice on car parking in Shaftesbury. It's called the Richard Parker Report. I think I've sent you a copy or sent it to the neighbourhood planning group, which clearly identifies 500 shortfall in car parking spaces. So again, I think you should probably use that for your evidence, and maybe not the county council's office.
Yeah, it is a problem. The comprehensive report was done sort of 15 years ago. Then there's got this other report that you mentioned, which was done by a consultant, which showed the opposite, but it's not as detailed as the first one.
He's the country's leading.
So yeah,
Richard, going on to this building about the point.
Yeah.
I live right opposite.
Yeah.
None of the residents of Copper Street were consulted about this. I have the plans.
Right.
I have been taking plans round to the residents,
Yeah.
and they are up in arms over it.
Are they?
Because the noise that is going to come from there.
Right.
You know, if they're going to have the band hall, I would hope they would soundproof it and that. And if they're going to have groups or whatever there.
Certainly, as part of the design brief, soundproofing was included, so hopefully that won't be an issue. Maybe you could talk to Ray Humphreys and Leo and sort of...
I know one resident is going to move.
Right.
They will up and move. Because it is taking some of the green area for the children. Come and talk to residents about the green area where the children play out there in the summer.
Yeah, it will take some of the green area, but you still have the play areas, and you have that green corridor there. It's going to take some of the green. It's going to take that basketball court.
I know,
out.
but that's where the club is going up towards.
Yeah,
They're going
which
to have
is
that
down
for
there.
extension, I know.
And there's grass there, so this car parking goes on grass. So you're right.
But
It
you've
is.
still got cars coming in through there, though.
Yeah, the
How
cars.
is that going to impact on the green area for the children to play? You know, it's a lot to think about.
I say that will be a kiddie sort of play area around that
You're
that
not
area.
just talking about children, you're talking about teenagers. They have somewhere to play, to kick a football or play cricket or whatever.
Yeah,
Or
well-
just meet up with their friends, you know?
Yeah, well, we've got somebody to kick the football in Barton Hill, and also.
But what about our area down in Copper Street? You don't want to ship everyone off somewhere else.
Right.
For many years we've had nearly 40, 50 children out at a time in the summer out on that field.
Okay.
There probably is leeway to make use of that practice pitch, which is never used. I don't know whether anyone's from the football club here, or maybe...
There's in the corner, there's Carol.
But that has been fenced off for the football club, and it's never ever been used as a practice pitch.
It's used every week.
Wasted space, so it could be
On
used.
junior rugbies and adults, that's incorrect.
Say it again?
That's used every week, every Saturday, and during the week by junior rookies.
Oh, is it?
That
Okay.
is correct.
Yes.
I see lots of area in there to park. Is there anywhere that we can just walk safely, say if we're walking dog, or is there a public footpath?
Well, there could be from this side all the way through.
Give me here, please.
There could be a footpath down that way. We did investigate. There was a plan to have a footpath going all the way down this past the pitch, which county highways wanted to and had the money to put into being a cycleway footpath. But there's a pinch point right about there, right next to the pitch, where it gets a bit narrow, and basically county lost heart and gave up the idea. But that would have been, because of the Copper Street is so full of cars and all that, so it would have been good to have a footpath going up that way, because that would have connected to the crossing to the eastern development.
I'd rather that myself and the dog or children can walk along a designated path rather than weave my way round cars. And a lot of people in their cars think that they've got right of way over pedestrians. But when I learned to drive, I'm afraid I'd give way to pedestrians. So I just think that there could be accidents if people want to use it to have a designated
Well, what we could check out is the scheme was for the county was to make a cycleway footpath all the way up here. Cycleway footpath is 2 meters, I think. There may be scope to just put a more narrow footpath down the edge, which would carry up, and then that could go all across that way, and there could be another footpath that goes up that way. So this isn't my scheme. This is the Ray Humphreys and Leo put this forward, and we just want to put it into the neighbourhood plan because we want to support it, try and get finance for it to help deliver it, because it seems to be a very good scheme for Shaftesbury. Yes.
Just a point. The neighbourhood plan is a wonderful tool because it allows the town to get hold of some money, the community infrastructure levy, and it raises it from a 15% to a 25%. So this is how you fund things. And as you've already pointed out, that if you put in the site south of the A30, which is designated in the local plan for 980 jobs, if you change that designation to housing or schools, the local council, North Dorset, has to, when submitting your neighbourhood plan, write and say it should be rejected. The inspector most likely will then reject it. So your plan will not go through and you won't get your money. That's the first thing I'm observing, because I'm trying to work out where you get the money for all this building here. The second point is that if you do get to 25% of the community infrastructure levy, which is a wonderful scheme because it pays up front, not at the rear end, as 106 does, which will stop the blackmail that's been going on, because the builder has to pay it up front. Yes, I did use the word blackmail, check your facts. So the money comes up front, so it's good. But there's just one thing he didn't show you on the map. The parish boundary. Melbury Abbas, 75% of the site, the industrial site, is in Melbury Abbas. Melbury Abbas hasn't been consulted. So the part two of the question is, since you get 25%, is the 25% going to Melbury Abbas, who have 75% of the site, who you said just now have aspirations, or is the 25% going to Shaftesbury Town Council? Before we get the plans, we need clarity how the finance is done.
Well, the clarity is it would be, the decision on that is done by North Dorset, and they would split it by the area. So you're quite correct, the employment land is split between Shaftesbury and the Can border, Mabios and Can. So yeah, and also the Tizad land is split. So if the Tizad land got developed, also the S1, the SIL money would have to be split between the two, the town and the parish as well.
Sorry?
Yes.
The small point is that the developments that have already been approved, that's the Littledown site and the Barrett site, they've come in before sills. So any sill developments would only be for any future developments. So what future developments are you expecting on which sill would be payable?
Parcel 6, 7.
No, they're part of the existing approval.
From the town's perspective, it doesn't really worry whether it gets S106, which is from the stuff that's in the existing plan, or whether it gets sill. Yeah, as soon as the North Dorset plan got accepted, it moves across into sill for any new developments that are being proposed.
But they're onto them.
How do we know that any of those schemes that we've talked about, the Tizard land, we've got no control of whether that comes in the future, whether the Persimmon employment land, whether they convert that all into houses. We've not, it's not out of our control. It's really North Dorset that do that.
It's government.
Yes.
We want an 11-year at the time when that housing estate was discussed.
Sorry, it's this lady in front of us.
I'm particularly interested in CAN,
Yeah.
and that's why I came along this evening. I'm not a Shaftesbury person. But you've not mentioned at all any part of the neighbourhood plan for CAN at all. And yet, if I go to the district council, our parish council, they'll say, well, you've got responsibility for doing the plan. So are you able to tell me anything about what's planned for CAN?
Yeah, well, there are actions they are all the way through. There have been a number of people from Melbourne and CAN on the plan. They have actions outstanding to complete. For instance, when I mentioned about the green spaces, inventory of protecting green spaces, not just protecting them in Shaftesbury, it's protecting them in Melbury, Abbas and Can. So the action for Melbury, Abbas and Can is to go around and identify which spaces they need protecting and put those back into the plan. I mentioned about the project. That's the one project that they've identified, which to refurbish the hall there. And basically, it's down to Melbury, Abbas and Can what they want to put in the plan. It's not down to anyone in Shaftesbury to say to Melbury Abbas that you need to put X, Y, Z. But a lot of the different components are hybrid, and a lot of the facilities in Shaftesbury, Melbury, Abbas and Can are interested in. They're interested in the high street, the town centre, because they all use it. So it sort of makes sense that the plan is shared. I think it makes it more difficult, and it was actually Leicester's idea originally to do this, so he's got the credit for that. But it slightly makes the plan more complex because you've got a rural area together with the town, trying to get all the policies together.
Can I just ask a question, not about the plans, these plans or anything, but have you any information on the hold-up in Copper Street of Churchill / McCarthy Stone development?
I personally have got no. I didn't know there was a hold-up.
We were told that the hold-up was to do with Brexit. I mean, they did do a lay-by for when the lorries were going to start working there, but that is a lovely car park now.
Yeah, well, they've cleared the land, fenced it off, and we don't know when they're going to start. It's the same thing with the Barrett development. We don't know, that should have already started, but it hasn't. It's been delayed. I think there was some issues with probate to do with the land that caused it. I don't know why it still hasn't started.
Well, Churchill was supposed to start in September.
Okay.
I don't know which year. But
As the UKIP parliamentary candidate at the last general election, I get that all the time.
didn't catch what you said.
I said, as the UKIP parliamentary candidate at the last general election here, I get that all the time.
Right, has that covered all the questions on that area?
Richard, I think one thing I would say, I think you need to make it clear that the timeline you gave and dates are notional, they're not fixed in stone. And I think they're slightly optimistic, I have to say.
The timeline is optimistic, but really, we need to try and push forward to try and get the plan in there, because it takes North Dorset 6 months to go and assess the plan and do the referendum after that. So we don't want to have any developments sneaking in that we could not get the full amount of solar. So it's important to try and get it in as soon as possible. And the plans can be updated. We're going to build in a normal 5-year update on the plan anyway. So it's not completely set in stone. You can keep expanding to it. So, right. We've got Dave Webber here from Melbury Abbas. If there's any parish councillor, any specific questions on that, we can have a chat with him afterwards. Okay, so update on the performance of the town council. This is my opinion, but it's been told to me by a lot of people that the town council has improved its image in Dorset since May 2015 and in 2016. We've had excellent press until the last 2 weeks, where reputational damage has been caused to the council by the new group's negative BVM press release. And I've been told this from quite a few people around Dorset that have sent messages to me saying, what's happening in Shaftesbury? We have an improved relationship with North Dorset, and this has been proven if you take with the swimming pool. The swimming pool was transferred to us. We did a business plan, got it transferred. North Dorset had already done a plan to sell it. They were going to sell it as a building plot, but we managed to convince them to actually transfer it to us and forgo the money that they would have taken. Since then, the town council has improved the swimming pool by refurbishing it. We've added new equipment such as the giant inflatable. You can see on the roof there the solar panels that have improved the running costs, and it really has been transformed. And if you went down there at all this year, you could see all the kids were having a great time using it. So it's a good, useful asset that's been transferred back to the town. But the reason I'm putting it up is to show that really the relationship had improved with North Dorset, and it had reached a very rocky point a number of years before that. Barton Hill, North Dorset are getting round to release S106 money to us. They are working with us. This play equipment and the exercise equipment, most of it was provided by S106 money that North Dorset have provided rather than the council tax money. So it's all paid by developers. And North Dorset have about close to £1 million worth of developer money that they are hanging on to. And we have to sort of prize out of their hands to try and get these assets for the town. About 300,000 of that we want to put into the community hall that we mentioned earlier, which is specifically allocated for that. But the relationship with North Dorset has been improving, and we've managed to put all these different facilities which are looking better. Previously, about 3-4 years ago, they cited poor governance of the council as being the reason that they wouldn't transfer money to us. And this is related to the Eastern Development. They refused to transfer any of the play areas with the community sums or any money to do with that. And that still holds true today. We haven't managed to change that cabinet decision. All that land is being kept. We have managed to persuade them to put some facilities in that, and I'll mention that, but we haven't completely redress the balance. This particular play area here is on Greenacre, and that's been put there using S106 money, but North Dorset refused to give the money to us. It decided to work with that. Basically, we did all the consultation with all the neighbours around here and got approval for what they wanted. Gave the designs across to North Dorset. North Dorset went and actually put the land together, and so they're responsible for maintaining it as well, rather than the town council. This is Ash Close, where we put a new toddler area and a five-side goalpost and a new slide. We've managed to also improve the processes for checking the safety of the play areas that have been implemented by the town council. They're a lot safer now than they were, and we're doing a systematic repainting programme. Because let's face it, a lot of these facilities were getting a bit tired, and over the last couple of years we have managed to improve them. Also along the front of safety, we've put a glyphosate ban in Shaftesbury, so none of these play areas have Roundup being used on them. And together with Bridget Strawbridge, we did the bee-friendly Queen Mother's Garden project, which has been very successful. Other things the town council were doing, painted all the railings around Castle Hill, new rustic benches there, new bins which are vandalised in Barton Hill, anti-slip paint on the skate park ramps, new bus shelter in Pixmead Garden. St James Park is a number of safety area improvements to the slide and the steps up there. The new cycleway at Royal Chase Roundabout, which DCC installed using, again, S106 money, which is development money that they did on our behalf, put the new cycleway in. So the council, I think, has been doing a good job for Shaftesbury residents in the last 2 years, and it has really improved, and it's been noted. If you take questions at the end of the session. Well done. So Rifles Monument, I can see Leicester's just left. So, but this, I went to the Rifles dinner in Gillingham a number of weeks ago, and they were really pleased that this solution has been found. So it's the Rifles Devon and Dorset Regiment Association, and you know, the comments that this particular site could have almost been designed for the monument. So almost everyone in the town thinks this is a good solution. Everyone's been happy with it, and everyone except Steve. But so quickly going on to council attendance at the council. We have two sorts of groups in the council. We have a number of people that work fairly hard in the council. We have another group, because they're employed and they have jobs outside, that find it very difficult to go to council meetings. So it isn't a homogeneous group of councillors. We are all different, and I think it actually brings a good flavour, even though everyone's not doing exactly the same thing. We are coming at it from different perspectives, and the ideal situation is that you're going to get 12 different sorts of people in the council that make objectively the right decisions for the council. So this one is the attendance that we've got for the year 2005. And you can see it ranges from 115, sorry. And this is the percentage attendance of, we're all committed to go to certain meetings. This is the percentage of the meetings that we're committed to go to. So if we're on a committee, such as planning highways, it's been included in there. If you're not, everyone is expected to go to the full council meetings. And that's basically the one that, probably the most important. So this is last year, and then we got this year. So you can see there is a little bit of a drop-off, where you've got again, a number of people that are going to every meeting going forward, and then it's safe to say that these people have very intensive jobs, and they also travel around the world, etc. And of course, we've got Anthony Austin, who's now moved out of Shaftesbury as well. So,
by the way, does that take into account my sick leave for heart operations?
no, this is purely.
No, does it take that into account?
It is this is purely.
I asked the question. Does it take it?
Well, I'm answering the question. This is the percentage attendance at council meetings the councillors have been summoned to attend.
Yes.
That's it. So it's the statistics that have been produced from the.
They're not relevant statistics.
Well, we can ignore you on that.
Good.
We've got I think it's a disturbing element that happened last week. We've got a new group of 9. This new group disrupted the general meeting by walking out of the meeting before 2 items of the business had been concluded. One of the items that wasn't covered was to dredge the pond in Castle Hill and stop it flowing onto the road, which is potentially damaging a resident house. This hasn't been done, so that there is water going across the street and is flooding that particular area. That is improving the risk to the council and to the town and those particular residents. We're not sure whether our insurance would pay out on if we got sued to that, because basically this business should have been addressed. There should have been a pond should have been dredged, and business concluded by not walking out of the council meeting. So it's my personal opinion. I think when you join the council, you need the impact of the residents of Shaftesbury should come first, and we should be there as 12 people that are doing our best for the council. It's not a social club. It's something we're all volunteering. And I've attempted to catch up back up on the town, so it's 9 o'clock, so we can address all the questions. I'm sure there's going to be a lot.
Do you not think that if 9 out of 12 of you are unhappy with your leadership style, that should cause you to reflect and think about what's going on? I agree with the reputational damage that this is all causing to Shaftesbury, but your remarks are totally inappropriate, and to try and name and shame people tonight is a disgraceful thing to do.
Okay. In the town council, I'm not the leader, I'm just the chair of the town council. So, leadership. So if someone says, your leadership style is inappropriate, what does it mean? I'm just the chairman, I'm not their manager.
You've managed to alienate 2/3 of your council, and there is something the way that the council is being led. The council should be led in a way that encourages these wonderful new people, these wonderful young people, to take part in it to the best of their ability. It's a selfless thing for the benefit of the community.
There has been a lot of acrimony since some of the Langdale Farm scheme has been proposed. There's been it has a lot to do with it. There's been a tremendous amount of acrimony.
I would be very concerned, especially about the last point, and that is the impact of the residents of Shaftesbury should come first. Now, had this been a district council or a county council or any other authority of, obviously a town council, a parish council, then if a majority of the people on the council had no confidence in the leader, say at government level, that would be an issue. Now, you were...
I'm not the leader.
No, at the last election, 10 of you, of the 12, were elected as one Shaftesbury working together for change. That was your mandate from the people. I have to say I didn't vote for any of you, but nevertheless, you won. Now, of those 9 people, 7 of them were elected under the banner of one Shaftesbury working together for change. So it was very much your colleagues that voted against you. In fact, of the other 3, the 3 who didn't vote for no confidence in you, one was your deputy mayor, which was very honourable, one was your good lady wife, and the third person was yourself. So the only confidence you had was your wife, your deputy, and yourself. All the other 9 councillors independently voted no confidence in you. If you had any honour, you would stand down from those committees.
The reason the rules are made that way is because when you're appointed to be a chair of any committee or mayor, you stay there for the whole term until the next is for that one particular year.
Not if you stand out.
Right, excuse me. Can I just say one thing? Listen, Richard has used his presentation. Richard has used his presentation to basically criticise the 9. Okay, and I think we should have the right of response. Do you agree?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so let's just look at these 9 people. Let's look at these 9.
Okay. Can you sit down, please? Joe Francis is the next one. Can you sit down? You can respond in a minute.
Hello, Joe Francis. Can I just say that Steve was saying about the group of 9. Can I just say I wasn't one of the group of 9. And the reason, apparently, why I wasn't one of the group of 9, I was excluded by the group of 9 because I have a friendship with Richard and Karen Tippins. Can I just say, it's not a social club. I don't have a friendship with Karen and Richard. I see them at council meetings and council business. I don't see them socially. And as for the other reason I get on with them, aren't we as councillors supposed to get on with everybody? And while I'm up here, I wanted to reiterate what I said on Tuesday night at the extra full council meeting. 18 months ago, Richard was made mayor. After 12 months, Phil was going to be made mayor and had to step down because of the interest in the land deal. We had a meeting in the mayor's parlour when all of us that were present sat in that meeting and re-elected Richard to be mayor. We were all given the opportunity to take that post up and no one wanted to. And yet you're coming back 6 months later and saying you're not happy. You know, you're saying you haven't got a voice. You have got a voice. You come to council meetings and you've got a voice. That's what your voting is. You've got a voice. So 9 of you can't vote against 2 or 3. Well, what are you doing on the council then?
Can I now respond?
Yeah.
Thank you. That's a couple of things. My name's Andy Perkins. I'm not going to respond to Joe. We didn't actually include Joe in our letter because we don't regard Joe as being a particular issue. I'd like to just remind you of these 9 political activists: Lauren Todd, George Hall, Anthony Austin, John Lure, Mark Jackson, Piers Brown, Phil Proctor, Lester Taylor and myself. We're volunteers. We want to be included. And what has happened over the last 18 months is that basically this council, this presentation actually, isn't by Shaftesbury Council, it's by Richard Tippins. And that is what is happening. It is about the governance of this council. I think those 9 people are reasonable, thoughtful, good people. So if 75% of the council believes there's an issue around governance, then surely there must be some sense of fact and truth behind that. It is not a hate campaign. It's simply about governance. I helped to run a difficult company, but I've seen emails, toxicity, berating, insulting, haranguing behaviour, which in any normal community or business would be totally unacceptable. In fact, in my business, they would be dismissed for gross misconduct. We have to put up with this, and we've had to put up with this for the long, long period. And in the end, we've all said, enough is enough. We don't criticise Karen or Richard about their energy, their enthusiasm, or their commitment. But the style creates division. It is divisive, And it makes the council ineffective. And that is why we've taken the action. Not to damage Shaftesbury, but to try and draw a line in the sand and to try and force an improvement in the way the council is run. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Question, excuse me. Did you put, or the group of you, did you put this grievance to?
We have tried on so many occasions, many recorded, some unrecorded. This is not a sudden reaction. Come on, look at the names on that list.
It's a world war.
Lauren, it's the world. That's all I have to say.
Yes.
Thank you.
The toxicity comes two-way. What Andrea has been saying, absolutely, there are toxic emails going both ways. In most councils, where this happens, they actually ban emails between councils, they put it through the clerk, so the clerk does the communication. And this is the sort of thing we should be doing here. Just noticed we're running 10 minutes over, and there's a number of people putting their things out, so I think we should probably call it a day here. And okay.
Yeah, the gentleman said that we have put it to you. Sorry, the gentleman said that they have put it to you. That you know, when you're hard working, you give a lot of the time. But there was a problem, perhaps management style. I'm not sure.
I don't know.
So was that? Well, I'm using that. It's the style of way that you communicate with other members of the council. What was your response to that?
There hasn't been any meeting like that. And also in the last 6 months, and also as I say, I've been very happy not to have been mayor this year, but none of them wanted to take up the baton when Phil Proctor was forced to step down. I didn't particularly want, but now that I'm doing it, I intend to see out the term.
How would the business of the council get done? Because you need a quorum, don't you? You need 4 of you to actually conduct the business. So there's only 3 of you. So how will we get things done in the town now?
Well, we have to. The Rose Committee is correct. I doubt whether Andy Perkins will destroy the HR committee, so that'll be correct. The Planning Highways, John Lure, that will function. So the issue is full council. So and Joan. So
as a local president, I'm just interested in how this is going to be resolved. So we've got the council split, setting up 25 looks at things. What are your plans to sort this out? So we've got a working council.
So we've got an interim, a locum town clerk, and he is attempting to do a mediation between the groups. I think we should call it a day now. We've already run Corbin over, so we'll close the meeting now. Thanks very much for coming. Bye now.